Doctor at the end. I had a bad toothache for days and finally went to see a dentist. Coming into the dentist, I was told by a dentist's assistant to have a seat and wait for a few minutes. After waiting for nearly 10 minutes, I was told to get in. I came in and saw a young, hot woman in her minimum 20s. I asked her if the dentist will be there soon, as it hurted pretty badly and was making me quite nervous. She told me she is actually the dentist, first FU of the day. I got the anesthesia, and she started working on it. At one moment, she told her assistant to suction the water out of my mouth. Believing she was talking to me, I sucked her finger. She was terrified, I was mortified. Doctor, my dentist told her assistant to suction. Believing she was talking to me, I have sucked her finger. Edit 1. This is a true story. It is definitely not that unusual, so if you have read it before, it doesn't mean it is a repost, like some comments claimed, it just happened to someone else as well. Edit 2. I was not shocked to see a woman dentist lol. I was shocked since she was very, 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 very young. Last summer I bought my grandparents' home from the family and started remodeling it. The septic system was absolutely wrecked and had to be replaced ASAP. Hired the engineer, got plans drawn, pulled permits, and contacted the installer that my engineer recommended. He stalled me through the fall, resulting in me having to wait until this spring, and use a different more expensive installer. It's been wet. This has caused me major headaches. Once the work was completed, I googled his business. He hasn't claimed it. I claimed the business, switched his number and address to the competition across town. Should be an interesting few months for him. Edit, as per some of the comments I have changed up things. I just signaled his business is closed temporarily and put a BS phone number in. As a couple others have said, even if he goes through the process of claiming his business it will still be a headache, in which I'm still wondering if he will be able to do anything. We share a common last name, his company is his last name Excavating, which would be my last name Septic Service if I chose so, which is what I changed things to. I've been mistaken for an employee on various occasions, largely due to the fact that I walk with a lot of purpose and a scowl so people actively avoid me, and the other being I tend to wear my keys on my hip. I do not dress remotely close to any of these store uniforms, but I digress. Normal interactions happen, such as in Target where someone will approach me for a question and I act visibly confused while saying I don't work there. Or when folks try and speak to me in Spanish, which I don't speak, understand, or even look like I could speak it however poorly. Amusing interactions happen, like when my adult child self was crouched down looking for dinosaur slippers that maybe fit me in the kids' shoe section in Walmart around midnight and a woman asked about little girls' shoes. We both laughed and I actually pointed her to them, and sadly had no luck finding slippers. The most frustrating to another person and hilarious to me after the fact was in an Albertsons grocery store. It was earlier in the morning, and there weren't many people in the store. I think I'd gotten off an early shift and had forgotten a single ingredient for dinner that night and was annoyed for various reasons, including being awake and in the presence of other human beings. Obviously, I'm walking with purpose and with keys on my hip. I pass a man as I'm practically jogging through the store and he steps in my path. All 6 feet of him to my 5 feet 4 inches female self full of rage. He demanded to know where something was and I decided to not break my stride, sidestep him and respond with, "I have no idea, ask an employee." "Man, you don't work here?" Me, retreating and jangling into the distance. "Nope." "Man, but you have keys." Well, over a year later I wish I had given any reply other than continuing to angrily walk away and get glared at by this man as I left. TLDR, keys do not equal answers or authority. Sometimes the angry gremlin jingling past is just a fellow confused shopper, on a quest for pasta sauce or Dino slippers. My second "I don't work here" lady happened this morning. I live in a small town. Not much around here except a Goodwill, Dollar Tree. I live in a brick-style home. I enjoy it here, it's pretty quiet and I rarely get company. As I was making breakfast I heard a loud bang on my door. "Hello?" I answered, scared to death since I rarely get company. It was a man and a child. "Is this the Hallmark store and do you work here?" "No, I live here and there is no Hallmark store in this town." He then says how his kid wants a toy and the child starts crying and throwing a tantrum. I don't really know what to do, but I gave the child a juice and said sorry. Then the man explained that someone said my house was a store. Don't know where they got that impression from. This isn't going to be one of those angry posts today. This is what made me almost cry today. I know my customer almost did too. A woman was checking out, but unsure if she had enough for all of her groceries. She put the less important ones on the back edge, off the conveyor. At the end, sure enough, not enough. The gentleman behind her noticed and told her he would pay for those. She was almost crying, protesting, but he was firm about doing it. Then, I was starting to run her gift card, which she was using for part payment, and the gentleman told her that he would take care of everything. He then asked me to continue scanning. I canceled the gift card charge and ran it all through. It was quite a large amount, but he didn't even blink. He just said that he liked looking out for people. When she found out that I didn't even put part of it on the gift card, the first customer was in tears. She told us she would send it to a friend on the reservation who was hard up for food. Cheers to a true gentleman who understood and lives by the idea of treating everyone you meet like a neighbor. Pretty much what the title says. Was a cook at a restaurant for 13 years. Was called back to work last week. Went in to talk to the new manager because he wanted to meet everyone before they came back. Was more like an interview. Was told the owners aren't hiring anyone back over a certain amount per hour. Offered me a 2-an-hour pay cut. Some people told me I should be happy to have a job to go back to. I was happy to have my job back, but that's not what they're offering me. Sorry for the rant. Is there anything I can or should do in this situation? Thank you. This is just a little story about how I had to shut down my generous refund policy because customers were taking advantage of it. Saw this type of thing happen at places I've worked in the past. So I own an underwear brand that I've been building for about 5 months. Great response, awesome customers, and things are going well. At the start, when I looked at the competition, lots of them were offering this 30-day satisfaction guarantee policy where customers could buy and try on a pair. If they don't like them, I'd give them a full refund and they could keep the pair. Naive me thought that this would help some people who were iffy about trying the boxer briefs make a decision, then they'd try them and love them and we'd all live happily ever after. Boy, was I wrong. The product is awesome and I stand by it, and all my customers absolutely love them, but that refund policy is just asking for someone to take advantage of it. Cue the emails. Them, didn't like, PLS refund. Me, hey, sure things, I'll process that refund for you. Could you give me some info about how you'd improve the product so that we can make it better in the future? Them, just didn't like them. I'd be happy to call my credit card company to have the charge reversed. Thanks for the refund. I'd be lying if I said that didn't really annoy me. Eventually, after a few $100s in losses, I got rid of the policy entirely. Surprisingly, sales haven't been impacted at all. I get the occasional email asking if we have a 30-day policy, and I say no to each. I think that generosity really attracts people that are either not gonna buy more than once, or people who'll take advantage. Gotta love retail. And hashtag X200B. Edit, a lot of you guys have been reaching out via DM asking what my website is. Not sure if this is considered crappy form in this sub, but I thought just to link it here. Here's the website. My boyfriend works for a sales department of a successful company. This company is known for being very personable, and is highly regarded in the field. The salesmen are told to follow up each order with a phone call and email, especially if the customer is a first-time buyer. So my boyfriend gets an order, but when he went to call this customer, the guy asked for no further contact beyond a receipt, and he was slightly rude about the whole issue. This is usually no problem, as not everyone likes speaking on the phone. However, a few weeks later, this same guy ordered more equipment that happened to be out of stock. As he wished, my boyfriend made no contact with him about the delay that would be coming. A few days later, he gets an email from the customer asking where the order is, to which he fills him in about the missing stock. He assured him he would have notified him sooner if not for his no-contact request. The customer only typed as a reply, and has been politer since then. Hey guys, how are you all doing? Anyway, it's quite hot where I live and our house has only got one AC, so me and my sister take mattresses from another room's bed and sleep in the AC room. Now, to avoid a confusion, it was my duty to take the mattresses in the night, and it was my sister's duty to put them back the next morning. It went fine for THR first few days, but then she kept sleeping till late to skip taking them. My mom is recovering from cancer and my dad is busy with work from home, so I take of the mattresses in the morning and put the bed sheet on them. When my sister woke up, she didn't like it and got annoyed and screamed at me for not doing it properly. I got up, went to the room and took the whole thing down and told her to do it herself. Luckily my mom supported me on this and scolded my sister and took her phone when she still hadn't set them in her way till the evening, Though we had to take them back again in a few hours. My mom made her do the whole thing and only then gave the phone back. Not a big revenge, but the satisfaction is awesome cause siblings are very annoying sometimes. Cross-posted from r/justnominal. My mill, known hereafter as Scary Carrie, has a thing about not wasting. I agree with her most of the time but sometimes I think she takes it too far. When my kids were little, we were at her and Phil's house having a cookout outside. When it was time to eat, I handed each kid a paper plate and, as I started to serve them, Mill yelled out that I was taking too many plates. They were the super cheap white paper ones, not sturdy at all, so I took a few to make them thicker. I explained to her that one plate wasn't substantial to hold the food, but she insisted that it would be fine because that's what the plate was made for. Sure enough, when my daughter carried her full, very flimsy plate over to the table and went to sit down next to my Mill, the thing collapsed and dumped a hamburger, potato salad and baked beans onto her lap. She started to scold my daughter for not being careful but I shut that down immediately. A day or two later, I got a call from Mill telling me that she couldn't get the baked beans stain out of her white pants and we owed her a new pair of pants. I laughed in her face, well, as much as one could over the phone, and told her that it was her own fault because she was the one who insisted on the flimsy plate. She hemmed and hawed for a little while longer then said she would take it over my head, meaning complain to my husband. I don't think she ever did, though. Or, if she did, I never heard anything about it. I started my first job last year. I worked at a community center/daycare and it had a club for seniors which happens every Wednesday. I was working with the little kids which is amazing but extremely tiring. It's nothing extremely funny but I don't know why I did what I did. I was late 2 times before and I was really scared of being late a 3rd time but somehow I managed to get to work on time. I was early but my supervisor wasn't there yet so I had to wait in front of the door. If we open the door the alarm will go off, then in 3 minutes it will automatically call the cops. I had another co-worker with me who informed me not to open the door. 2 minutes later my supervisor pulled up. In her car she yelled out do not open the door but all I heard was open door. Now guess what I did? Yup, I opened the door. My supervisor jumped out of her car ran so fast inside. That day was known as the idiot in my job and I didn't apologize to her later. I've been working my current post for about 3 years now. It is a rich gated community with 50+ homes. My job is mainly to inspect people coming in and make sure they are either on a resident's guest list or call the resident they are coming for to see if they are okay to come in. I answer phone calls from residents who tell me when they are expecting guests so I can let them in. I call different services, police, fire, animal control, plumbers, etc., for them. Basically I'm a receptionist with a security badge. 2 days after I finished training to be at this post I had a lady drive up to my gate. So I approach her and say my normal hello, how can I help you? As I was trained to do when someone comes with a resident decal or pass. The gets mad and says that I should know who she is the mother of ex-resident how dare I not know her. When I explained how I'm new and didn't know everyone yet she still got mad until she finally gave me her name so I could look her up. After confirming that she was ex-resident's mother I told her she was free to go. She said you better not stop me next time, I never want to be stopped again. You should know everyone if you are going to work here. I laugh every time I see her. I remember that. Like lady I can't know you if I never met you before. What do you want? I know it's not the most interesting story but every day when I see her I get a little laugh thinking about it. I have other stories about this community that are more interesting that I might post someday, but those require a lot my typing and I'm too lazy to write all that right now. Background: I was helping a friend who just bought a new NVMe SSD with installing Windows in it. After the installation is finished, and he's booted up to the SSD I recommend to not format the HDD until he's sure he won't need anything from the old Windows instance, software configuration or any file that he forgot to back up. This is the conversation that took place. Me Kisses just set everything up on the new Windows and when you can go a week without coming back to the old instance you are mostly safe to format the HDD. Friend Kisses I wanted to format it now because when the PC reboots I need to choose which Windows instance I want, and it's a bother. Me Kisses no, such difficulty in pressing enter, that makes possibly losing important configs or files worth it. Fiend Kisses but it bothers me. Me Kisses man, you have a literal miracle of modern technology in front of you. And pressing enter to avoid losing any important files is suddenly too much of a hassle. Before you say he's just a normal user and anything new scares him, he's currently a security engineer and we used to work together in tech support. Some people As a clarification, I would rather him use Linux, but no one can deny that even with its shortcomings, Windows is one of the better pieces of code you can find for an OS. And I don't post a screenshot of the conversation because it's in Spanish and full of friendly insults. This happened when my dad used to work in Saudi Arabia as an engineer, and I had spent most of my childhood in that country. I am an Indian, so I used to stay in a building, which mostly comprised of Indians. I had a lot of Muslim neighbors, who used to go to a neighboring building, to learn Islamic teachings. It was a sort of madrasa for a large number of Indian Muslims in my neighborhood. I consider myself secular, and was very interested in the teachings of Quran as well, and so I used to ask my Muslim friends about their classes. I got to know that their regular Maulana, an Islamic scholar, who has a vast knowledge about Islam, who was a Pakistani, we had few other Asian neighbors as well, had to go back to his country, due to personal reasons, and they had a new Maulana replace him, who also happened to be a Pakistani. There was nothing unusual about this whole situation, and everything was pretty normal in my neighborhood. But about few weeks later, I got to know from my dad, that an ISIS sleeper agent was caught in the neighboring building, where my friends used to go, and that he was a neighbor of the Maulana who used to teach them, and he did in fact occasionally conduct few classes. It still gives me chills to this day, thinking, what would have happened, had he not been caught, and what kind of perversion of teachings would he have brainwashed them with? Fortunately, that did not happen, but I don't know what people know of KSA, but anything related to terrorism that has happened there or will ever happen are kept confidential, and no one is really allowed to talk about it, so just like that, people forgot about it, and went on with their lives. P.S. Forgive me for my grammatical errors. Sorry for any misspelling in advance, I'm non-native. DL, Doctor, coffee was starting to boil, blood was starting to leak, hands were too cold, menstrual cup was too hot. This did happen today. I started using the menstrual cup 2 months ago. This is my second period with it, and I had read that starting a new one, it must be sterilized before use by boiling it in water to prevent any microbes that can still be in the medical silicone from wreak havoc down there. I also read that as time goes by, users tend to be more relaxed about cleaning the cup, and this is how bad but avoidable things happen. Of course, today when my period came, I remembered this and sterilized it with special care, and while my coffee maker started to boil, I felt like blood was starting to leak, so I quickly ran to the bathroom to put it. It should be noted, it's winter here, my hands were frozen. A microsecond after inserting it, a wave of sensation ran through me and a very painful burning invaded me down there, like menthol in a burn, but real bad. My poor legs felt like threads. I swear I saw my reflection in the mirror and I was so pale. I'm definitely not white. All while my coffee burned. Nothing hurts anymore, thank goodness, but at first it was horrible, and the memory brings me flashbacks of that strange feeling of the cup just boiled in my already sensitive lower part. It was a sad morning. My first and only I don't work here lady story. So I live in a village. The only stores around here are Goodwill, Dollar Tree, a bakery, and a few mom and pop shops. I'm at the local Dollar Tree just looking around. The people at my local Dollar Tree wear green, I'm wearing a blue dress. And a old lady comes up to me and tells me to ring her up, and I tell her sorry, I don't work here. First she doesn't believe me, then asks if I'm a cop and if she is going to get arrested. I'm confused, and then a younger girl comes up to me and apologizes and says this her mother and she has mental issues and got confused. The older lady then asks for a photo with me and a hug, and I did what she wanted. Nothing bad or no drama, just a old lady confused. So this was actually a few years ago, but my family still gets a kick out my traumatic experience and brought it up recently. DL, Doctor at the bottom. It was the summer of 2016 and I had just graduated high school and was working 3 jobs. One of these jobs was mowing lawns for a few elderly people in my neighborhood. So it's the peak of summer in the South, US, and I had just gotten off one job at noon. I worked 4 a.m. to 12 p.m., still had time to mow my lawn and the house across the street. I finish around 2 o'clock and it's the hottest time of the day. It was till to 100 degrees Fahrenheit that day. I decide to get in the pool to chill. Our pool has a solar cover to heat the water, and it was still on the pool that day because my parents were out of town and I couldn't be bothered to take it off. The water was 98 degrees Fahrenheit. I remember that point vividly, for reasons to follow. I'm too weak to remove the tarp from outside the pool, I have to get in and push it out. So I'm about halfway across the pool with the tarp when it hits me. What is that smell? Like wet dog, garlic, and mold. The thought has barely crossed my mind when I feel something soft and fluffy brush across my stomach. It's followed by the gentle scrape of claws. I'm in a bikini, so I felt every strand of fur. I look down. Oh my god, I think it's a cat. Q screaming like I'm being murdered. I jump back, slip and go underwater. I come up choking on dead animal water. I heave myself out of the pool. I genuinely blacked out parts of the great pool escape and subsequent sprint across the yard. I'm thinking, there's a dead cat in my pool. I'm thinking, I have to tell my neighbors their cat is dead in my pool. I'm thinking, IT touched me. It was bloated and warm and IT touched me. It was drowned and slow boiled. I call my parents, but they're 6 hours away. I call my brother but he's an hour away. I'm staring at this animal in the pool, bloated and boiled by my family's ungodly heated pool. And then I see the claws. And the tail. It's not a cat. Is this worse or better? It's a possum. Is it even really dead, then? It was, very much so. No neighbors came to check out the murderous screams and chaotic splashing. My parents eventually called one of their employees who lives nearby and he came to remove the possum. 4 years later and I still will not get in a covered pool or hot tub. DL, doctor, I found a dead possum, boiled alive and bloated, in my pool by swimming over it. Obligatory. This happened a few years ago. I was offered a job by a regular customer at a restaurant I had been working at, let's call him Sam. Sam often came in to eat with his wife Cheryl. I love this couple, they were funny and easy to serve. After getting to know them over a year of serving them, I find out Sam has his own restaurant and offers me a position there which I took. Working in Sam's restaurant for a month or so I was really enjoying myself and bonding with the other staff. I was working a slow lunch shift one day with one of the busboys, Anthony. We were shooting the shoot and he ends up mentioning that Sam's his dad. I was like, oh that's so cool. I love your parents. Sam and Cheryl are great. He stares at me blankly. Cheryl? Turns out that Sam had a girlfriend he hadn't yet told his kids about and I had accidentally outed him to his son. Whoops. DL, doctor, told my boss's son about his secret girlfriend. So yeah, they burned the city not far from me or a part of it last evening. Today they moved to the sister city which is less than 20 miles from us. Cue the crazy amount of calls we took today as for some reason people thought they could reserve rooms without using their name and not giving ID. I was really asked that multiple times today. Like if you're gonna burn a city down and wanna hide, don't go to a hotel. Go to the Roach Motel. Oh wait, you burned it down, and now you want me to let you come here and risk you doing that here? While you pretend to hide? Not tonight, keep it over there y'all. So everyone be safe and have a good night in my neck of the woods, or at least bring marshmallows and hot dogs along. I work at a small-town coffee shop that has managed to adapt and stay busy during COVID-19 by utilizing a window for walk-up service. A regular problematic customer, let's call him TJ, is a typical middle-aged man riddled with toxic masculinity. He often makes female employees and customers uncomfortable with his comments. Lately he's been around a lot, being typical DJ. Today he came to our window and ordered a coffee. Cool, nothing out of the ordinary. A co-worker asked him if he would like to tip via our Square register. We normally don't verbally ask customers, but with the current pandemic we are not allowing customers to touch our iPad system. He proceeded to tell her to put 100, and reassured them he wanted to tip that much because he appreciates our hard work and effort and wants to chip in since our business has been a bit slower. Okay, I gave him that and almost have a change of heart about DJ. We both outwardly thank him and he goes on his way. I text my boss about this uncharacteristic interaction with TJ and through their end of the register system she was able to look at the transaction. They noticed that not only was the credit card he used not in his name, but in his boss's name, on their company card. Typical TJ. What a D-bag. So I work in the paint department of a store that really likes the color orange, and thus, I have a few stories. This one happened about 2 months ago when a woman came in to get some paint. Now whenever I mix paint I tell customers that it'll take a few minutes, like 5 to 6 depending on the order. Most people go do other shopping in the meantime but, some choose to wait nearby. Well, this woman chose to wait at the counter. It was near closing time so she was my only customer. In case you didn't know, the process for mixing paint is simple. The machine shoots the amount of whatever colors are required to achieve the color you want and we shake it in order to get it mixed together. Sometimes colors you wouldn't expect go into the paint to achieve the end result. For example, green, black and yellow might give you a blue. I don't remember the color this lady wanted, so let's say it was green. The woman was standing at the counter, which gives a full view of the mixing process. Her paint needed some green but also a few other colors. The woman sees purple go into the paint can and immediately starts freaking out about me making the wrong color. I explain that her color will be correct once I shake the paint, but she didn't want to hear it. She then walked out of the store without her paint after complaining about how she didn't have time for this. I shook the paint and guess what? It was her green. Edit, we'll post some more tales from the paint desk later. So this morning I sure learned a lesson the hard way. I woke up early and went to go grab a glass of water, but they were all dirty. Since my wife wakes up at the crack of 4, she had already loaded and ran our dishwasher and they were still drying. I just grabbed a glass out of the machine while it was still hot and filled it with fridge water. It shattered in my hands while I was drinking from it. I'd cow, but I ended up swallowing/choking on a shard of the glass. I think I was just so surprised I swallowed. We ended up immediately going to the ER because I could feel the piece in the back of my throat and I kept throwing up blood. When we got to the hospital they first numbed the back of my throat and retrieved the shard, but they decided to do an endoscopy to be sure, so I had to go on this twilight anesthetic. They don't believe that I actually swallowed any pieces and that the blood I vomited was from the cut in the back of my throat that I kept swallowing. We are going to do another x-ray I think, but I'm here for some observation until they let me go. I feel dumb because I knew that glass can shatter if it goes from hot to cold. I've just never had it happen with a drinking glass before and have been doing that my entire life. TLDR, I put ice cold water in a hot glass and drank from it. I swallowed a piece of glass when it shattered. Now I have stitches that make me want to gag in the back of my throat. My restaurant has granite tabletops and counters, and our owners are very strict that we use granite cleaner and polish to clean the tables after every use. The problem is that while the granite cleaner has alcohol in it, the alcohol content is not over 60%, which is necessary to kill any bacteria or viruses. I brought this up with my manager, and she said I was not permitted to use sanitizer on the tabletops. I texted my owner, who then gave me a 30-minute long speech about how COVID is a hoax, and that even if it is real, we should want to get it to build up immunity. So in our location in Pennsylvania, we are moving to the green phase. After months of restrictions from red phase to yellow, we only had 22 cases of people who had the virus and every single one of them has gotten better, which is really exciting. Our boss informed us yesterday that we will be reopening next week. I've been waiting so long to hear this and I thought I'd be more excited, but I know it won't be the same and I think that's why I'm really bummed. Not everyone will come back, we will have no new movies and having to wear masks and gloves for entire shifts. It may be too soon, I don't know. I really thought I was going to be more excited. I think I'm afraid to see how different it's going to be. I know for one thing we are lucky to be reopening though. A lot of theaters/businesses are staying permanently closed from being closed for so long, and there was a huge chance we would have to as an independent theater. First time posting, currently a EMS dispatcher for a private ambulance company for 3 years now. We take some calls, however, they're usually seizures, psych, and falls. This one? Probably should have been psych, but unfortunately she wasn't the patient. This call happened in my first year, while I was pretty fresh and didn't understand the power of controlling a call. And #X200B. Me, okay, tell me exactly what happened. CLR, yeah, my mom fell in the other room, you know we have her locked in there right now, but yeah she fell and I think she may have hit her head. Me, okay, are you with her now? CLR, well, you see, she has dementia, and we live in a new home, so she is locked in there. You see, we can't have her wandering because of the bears that are around here. Me, have you gone to check on her yet? CLR, no, I can't unlock her door because she will get out and the bears will get her. Me, can you please go check on the patient? CLR, yeah, I think she might have hit her head, it sounded like she hit the end table, that's what woke me up, but even our big dog, insert large dog brand, is afraid to go outside because there are bears here at this new house. Please send the ambulance, but make sure they get in and out quick because the bears will get them. Rinse and repeat for literally every one of the 10 questions involved with a fall. I was essentially working with a third-party caller as she flat out refused to unlock her mother from the room until the EMTs got there, let alone even go look at her. And #X200B. I kid you not, I heard way more about these bears than I ever got out of her regarding her fallen mother. While I may have wanted to bash my head into the desk repeatedly asking her the questions, now I can have a good belly laugh over it. From what I do remember though, Mom was transported alright, and no EMTs were mauled by the darn bears. About 3 jobs ago, I was a sysadmin at a small healthcare company that occasionally helped with Tier 2 support. As such, I had my phone answering script down to "Hello, this is Bluckazoo with Healthcare Corp. How can I help you?" One day, my phone rings, and after hearing the above, the guy on the other end pauses for a second, and then says, "Yeah, do you guys sell catfish food?" Once my brain recovered from the internal WTF moment, I spoke again. "Sir, this is Bluckazoo with Healthcare Corp. I'm not sure you have the right number." Guy: "So you guys don't sell catfish food?" Me: "No, sir, we don't." Guy: "Alright, thanks." Click /. Turns out my direct line number was one off a local sporting goods place, and I only noticed once I had to call them. This is just a little story about how I had to shut down my generous refund policy because customers were taking advantage of it. Saw this type of thing happen at places I've worked in the past. So I own an underwear brand that I've been building for about 5 months, great response, awesome customers, and things are going well. At the start, when I looked at the competition, lots of them were offering this 30-day satisfaction guarantee policy where customers could buy and try on a pair. If they don't like them, I'd give them a full refund and they could keep the pair. Naive me thought that this would help some people who were iffy about trying the boxer briefs make a decision, then they'd try them and love them and we'd all live happily ever after. Boy, was I wrong. The product is awesome and I stand by it, and all my customers absolutely love them, but that refund policy is just asking for someone to take advantage of it. Cue the emails. Them, didn't like, PLS refund. / sent from my iPhone. Me: "Hey, sure things, I'll process that refund for you. Could you give me some info about how you'd improve the product so that we can make it better in the future?" Them: "Just didn't like them. I'd be happy to call my credit card company to have the charge reversed. Thanks for the refund." I'd be lying if I said that didn't really annoy me. Eventually, after a few $100s in losses, I got rid of the policy entirely. Surprisingly, sales haven't been impacted at all. I get the occasional email asking if we have a 30-day policy, and I say no to each. I think that generosity really attracts people that are either not gonna buy more than once, or people who'll take advantage. Gotta love retail. I had a friend from college move in with me at the beginning of my senior year, which was this year. He's been awful to live with, an absolute slob, and the worst part is hearing him scream obscenities at Counter-Strike all through the day and night. Tomorrow he's moving back to his parents' house, and I'm overjoyed. As we speak, I'm laying in bed trying to sleep as he yells in the other room, completely ignoring my knocking on the wall and my texts to be quiet, but at this point I know there's no point. Only one more night of this. One more night until I can have a clean apartment, work from home peacefully, and get a good night's sleep. One more night until I'm free. I had this good friend who was moving a few hours away soon. Her birthday was coming up and she'd never had a birthday party or anything like that before, so my friends and I took this as the perfect opportunity to throw her a surprise birthday party. We planned everything out, invited all her friends, got a cake, presents, fun activities planned. It comes to the day of the party and I'm at school, sitting around a table with a bunch of friends. I wasn't 100% sure on who was all coming to the party, so I asked the table if all of them were coming. What I did not realize was my friend who the party was being thrown for was sitting at the said table. I tried to play it off but it was too far gone. She still showed up and acted surprised when she walked into the party and everyone jumped out and we all have a pretty good laugh about it now. DL, Doctor, planned a surprise birthday party for a friend, asked her if she was coming to the surprise birthday party. TL/Doctor at end. This story takes me back about 14 years ago. I had been working as an apprentice for the last year and change at this point. I enjoyed my job, it landed me in remote locations, working in either 2 or 3 man inspection units in the oil and gas industry. Unfortunately I also smoked cigarettes at the time. Comes into play later. During my times working this job, I had always worked with fellow smokers, all cool with smoking in the work rig. The job had extremely long hours, seldom days off, and often involved long and unpaved driving. I had been working with a guy named John for a few months, and our work dynamic was great. We worked well together, even lived together to save money while out on the road. Then, after a small Christmas break, John informed me he wouldn't be returning to Colorado after the break. John was replaced by a guy named Bruce. Bruce was older, grumpier, and entirely less efficient than John. Bruce hated smoking and it was forbidden in the truck once he became the crew leader. This sucked because it was January in Colorado, with lows regularly in the -20s and 30s. Bruce also had a weird hang-up where he wouldn't turn on the heater at all while driving. As you can imagine, it got bitterly cold between the temperature and lack of heat. In general, I did not like Bruce much at this point, though we did manage to get past some of our differences later on. I despised the no smoking in the truck rule because that meant I always had to freeze to have a smoke, which also made me start despising Bruce too. I could stay away from him for most of the day because he worked in a mobile darkroom, for developing radiographs, built onto the back of the truck. But, he joined me in the cab of the truck for lunch, I think just to annoy me. Anyway, one day I brought tuna sandwiches, and Bruce told me he hated the smell of fish as he got out of the truck. So after that, I ate a lot of tuna, sardines, and trout. I did it regularly enough that Bruce got the hint and quit trying to eat with me. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Edit, TL/Doctor I used to be a cigarette smoker. New guy at work enforces no smoking in truck. I resent new guy, find out he hates the smell of fish, and proceeded to start eating lots of fish from then on. Also, Bruce and I worked together another time later on, and things between us were much more civil and professional. Edit 2, I finally quit smoking this year. Already posted this but was removed because I forgot to add a DL. Doctor, this did happen today, a few hours ago actually. I was asleep and it was like 3 in the morning. I, 37F, live alone with my dog, he sleeps in bed with me. It's starting to get hot here where I live but that doesn't stop my dog from sleeping almost on my face. He's a small terrier mix. I have often had to push him gently back to his side of the bed. I think you can see where this is going. I went to nudge him back to his side as he was right in my face. It was pretty dark in the room and I had my eyes closed and push him with my right hand when I feel warm and wet on my thumb. Even though my brain wants to think it's his mouth, I know where my thumb is. I pull my finger out and open my eyes. And his ass was in my face. I apologized and got up and washed my hands for 5 minutes straight. I'm so grossed out and keep washing my hands and saying sorry to my dog. I don't think he's mad at me but I'm gonna be more careful from now on. DL, Doctor accidentally stuck my thumb up my dog's ass while half asleep in the dark trying to push him over to his side of the bed. Already posted this but was removed because I forgot to add a DL. Doctor, this did happen today, a few hours ago actually. I was asleep and it was like 3 in the morning. I, 37F, live alone with my dog, he sleeps in bed with me. It's starting to get hot here where I live but that doesn't stop my dog from sleeping almost on my face. He's a small terrier mix. I have often had to push him gently back to his side of the bed. I think you can see where this is going. I went to nudge him back to his side as he was right in my face. It was pretty dark in the room and I had my eyes closed and push him with my right hand when I feel warm and wet on my thumb. Even though my brain wants to think it's his mouth, I know where my thumb is. I pull my finger out and open my eyes. And his ass was in my face. I apologized and got up and washed my hands for 5 minutes straight. I'm so grossed out and keep washing my hands and saying sorry to my dog. I don't think he's mad at me but I'm gonna be more careful from now on. DL, Doctor accidentally stuck my thumb up my dog's ass while half asleep in the dark trying to push him over to his side of the bed. Working for one of the big US cell carriers, I've come to realize how many Americans can't do math. Enter the Karen who spoke to 2 reps before me about her balance increasing after either requesting a refund or having her bank charge back a double payment in Jan. I didn't comb the notes enough to figure out which. After gathering all of the above info going through notes and payment activity, I explain this to our Karen who then repeatedly asks me how her getting the money back from one of the payments resulted in her account balance increasing by the same amount. Eventually she asks for a supervisor because I'm not listening to her question that I answered multiple times. Enter the supervisor that answers my call who after hearing the situation says, well, what did she think was going to happen? I guess it's good that at least 2 out of 3 of us can do basic math. Bartender at a local pizza joint. My buddy came in after a long day dealing with his 2 sick little girls. He tells me a story from today about the littlest. She's screaming for him from the bathroom. She states she's been waiting for 60 years for him. All she wanted was a cheese pizza from our place. Since they were sick he went with something more appropriate for upset stomachs. But you can guarantee I got him a gift certificate for a cheese pizza for her when she's better. Nice to have good customers to even out the bad ones lol. So to start us off, I am not a fan of spiders, not terrified or anything, but I'd much rather them stay outside. I try not to kill them though and prefer to just relocate them. Anyways, on to today's events. I was in the shower. I had just gotten an conditioner in my hair, and my hair is long so it takes a bit and often gets on the floor, keep this in mind. As I go to grab my face wash while the conditioner sits, I notice a quite large spider in the corner of the shower. For reference, this is a shower/tub combo, so the floor is slick and it's kinda like a big bowl. I don't want to squash the spider, so I quickly reach and grab the small cup I use to hold my razor in hopes to catch it and relocate it when I get out. Note I'm a little nervous because I am naked and vulnerable to its creepy spiderness. As I take the cup and try to place it over the spider, and it darts to the bottom of the shower. I'm trying to hurry now so it doesn't get sucked down the drain. I go to turn so I can catch it, and that's when I make my fatal error. I turned too fast and slipped on the conditioner. I fall hard and squish the spider right smack in the middle of my left butt cheek. Ew. Then it got worse. Where I live we have wolf spiders that carry their babies on their backs. Apparently in my preoccupation to save the spider I failed to realize this was one. Thousands of baby spiders run for their lives. Some running on me and some falling victim to the evil drain. I'm screaming now. Partly because of the fall and mostly because of the spiders. My mom busts in the door and finds me flailing in the bathtub. Freaking out and trying desperately to get the spiders off and to stand up. She starts laughing, but as soon as she notices the spider she sprints out, leaving me to fend for myself. In the end I got up safely and got the spiders off me. Of course then I had to peel the poor dead mother off my butt. It was horrifying. There are still loose baby spiders in the house, but at this point they can stay. DL, doctor, spilled conditioner, tried to catch a spider in the shower. Fell and squished spider with butt releasing horde of babies. I worked in housekeeping in a hotel for months up until this past week. I'm now 35 weeks pregnant. I was scheduled to work 5+ days a week, with 20+ rooms to myself. I came into work recently, because I was on the schedule, and I could barely walk. I couldn't bend my back and my ankles were hugely swollen. I had been in L&D the night before to stop contractions. We didn't have many rooms, but 5 housekeepers in-house. Everyone was almost begging my manager to send me home, as we had too many housekeepers for the amount of rooms. Now, I'm huge at this point in pregnancy. I can't bend too far forward in general. My manager and I, discussed a couple weeks ago that she didn't want me cleaning bathtubs, so I was to have another housekeeper come clean my bathtubs. No biggie, I was fine with that. Well, the day before I quit I had went to find another HK to help with a bathtub. Said manager stopped us in the hall and asked what we were doing socializing on the clock. We explained that she was going to clean a bathtub for me and would go right back to her rooms. She yelled at me and said that if I can't do my job, I need to quit so that she can hire someone who's willing to work. I explained that it wasn't that I wasn't willing to work, rather that's one small task that I myself struggle with accomplishing. She didn't care. She continued yelling at me. Now, I've always hated being yelled at, so I spent the rest of my shift crying while cleaning my rooms. I got home from work, still crying. My boyfriend became extremely upset as I told him what had happened. We decided that it's in the best interest of our child that I just be done, as it's a lot of emotional trouble as well as physical. So I gave my manager her wish, and I went in and handed in my scrubs and quit. She seemed sympathetic, said she understood, was sad to see me go, and for me to come talk to her after I was released from maternity leave. Fast forward to today, another HK at said hotel was talking to this manager, while recording the conversation to send to me. She asked if I would be back after baby. The manager told her that I was lazy and a crybaby, so she would never consider hiring me back. I'm glad I quit. I feel like I dodged a bullet. I'm not sure that I'll ever be able to convince myself to work in housekeeping again. I just feel the need to rant about this, and maybe some of you all can relate. I'm a GM for a wine bar/retail store, and I've been one of the only people working this entire pandemic, because I'm salary, doing pickup and delivery. While other people are staying home, I was working more than normal, helping out as much as I could to keep the business afloat. Then I contracted COVID. No way to know how. It's possible I got it from someone at the grocery store, where I stay distanced and wear a mask, or the park, where I go for walks when there aren't many people around and stay distanced and wear a mask, or it's possible I got it from a customer at work, where we had to start locking the door in between orders because people kept walking in without masks on, ignoring the posted signs and disregarding their safety and mine. I'm 24, otherwise healthy, and resilient. But it still sucks. I can barely do anything. I did laundry this morning and had to take an hour-long nap. My body is aching, and exhausted, and every doctor has told me the best thing I can do for it is to sleep and rest as much as I can. But the county just announced that we're allowed to reopen for outdoor seating. Our business is closed right now entirely only after I told my boss we had to since I tested positive, and sent him links to the CDC's website because he didn't want to close at all. But when we reopen, we'll be allowed to have outdoor seating. And I'll be expected to come back and be the main person working again. I broke down crying because my body can't handle it. I can barely be on my feet for 5 minutes at a time right now. I'm going to be expected to be on my feet for 6 to 8 hours. But my boss will see me as recovered, because I no longer have a fever. He won't accept tired as a reason for me not to work. If I say no, I can't do it, then I'm scared about losing my job or getting my salary cut. And I need that money. My sister has been unemployed since this started and isn't getting her unemployment. We won't be able to buy groceries if I lose my job. I'm tired of working in an industry where being exhausted is the norm. Where you're expected and encouraged to work through the pain, work through being sick, work through not being able to. For everyone out there who is working right now, I see you and I wish you safety and health. It was pretty late. We were doing some of the most random ass stuff like watching cooking videos, house renovation videos, making out, and playing Smash. We were so into it that we didn't even think about eating. At around midnight we were making lasagna. We were goofing off and she flung some tomato sauce at my face. Yeah, we're pretty much children in 23-year-old bodies. This prompted a gentle and playful shove from me. She retaliated with a shove. I then shoved her back, but this time I severely misjudged the amount of force that went into it and how fragile she is, and she went flying into the table and hit her side. I obviously didn't want to hurt her and she knows that, so she isn't mad at me, but she also isn't gonna try to do that again, which sucks because I like it when we joke around. It's also weird because she's usually the one to hit me. This one time, when we were both around 10, she rambled on about stupid shit and I would pretend to sleep, so she slapped my back and left a hand turkey. One of the greatest days of my life. We ended up eating the lasagna with an awkward vibe in the room. And if you're wondering if this is an abusive relationship, it totally isn't. We only joke around with each other because we know we can take it. This was the first time something like this happened in a dozen years. DL, Doctor, I got too antsy and ruined an amazing night. I once ordered a copy of Pokémon Emerald for GBA from eBay and what arrived was clearly a fake cartridge. I notified the seller and they asked me to return the item for a refund. I was a little peeved by this, didn't really want to return something that they'd inevitably try and fob off on someone else. Alas, I wanted my refund, so I mailed it back in a plain envelope with no postage stamp, forcing the scammer to pay for postage on receipt. Surprisingly, I still received a full refund from them. After that, I promptly reported their store to eBay for selling fakes and it was removed within a week. Take that. I am 14. I am a certified referee in my state. I know the rules as I've played by them my whole life along with taking the officiating classes. At our park district, no headers for ages below 11. But in U12, it is up to the referee's discretion. So if it's a small tap, it's okay. That is exactly what happens. So the coach behind me screams at the top of his lungs there are no headers in U12 5 to 16 times. I ignore him. Though I could eject him. It was last game of the season and I didn't care. After a bit of yelling, he says fine, go duck yourself then, which I turn and tell at him for saying in front of U11 kids. I wish I sent him away or ended the match. Sadly I didn't do much and my partner is a longtime referee, officiated my matches as I grew up, and he is deaf. So he has no idea what happened. The person who runs Park District in my area has been informed and is taking action. I normally have always been polite and patient when talking to people when I need help, but ever since working in a call center I've become more patient and understanding of things. For example, when I have to call and I hear there are Kala in queue, I normally just be more calmed and relaxed and even stay in the line after I don't need assistance so the rep can have some green in the middle of rush. I also can tell when there is something else that can be done, so I politely hang up the call and call again and don't make a fuss about it. I'm in my 40s and thought today about an incident that occurred to me in the mid-90s, 1997 to be exact. Reading some of the other posts from young women and men really scared me. I want to share this story so that other young people will be vigilant about their own personal safety. In 1997 I was in the Army National Guard, enrolled in college and also worked a part-time job. I was also a single mother with a 4-year-old. I was juggling quite a bit but always smiling and friendly, no one was a stranger, I was raised in a rural area, so that's just how most people were. I moved to a new apartment in the city about 5 miles from my father's home, so I felt pretty safe. I had lived in my apartment about 3 weeks when on one morning while getting ready to leave for class I heard a loud knock on my door. I opened it without questioning who it was. There was this massive guy that had to be at least 6 feet 4 inches or 6 feet 5 inches and maybe over 250 pounds. This guy was normal looking, very fit with a maintenance belt on. He tells me that he was the maintenance guy and needed to look at my power box electrical box, located in my room. I don't know how he knew where to go. I let him in. When I did, a severe sense of terror washed over me. I realized I'd made a mistake. I was alone with this guy who went right back to my room. I remember wanting to sit and eat, but the terror I felt was so strong I grabbed my backpack and rushed out to class. I was so scared to come home but didn't tell my dad. I don't know what I was thinking. I came home alone late at night, looked under beds and my couch and was relieved to find I was alone. I found a massive hole in my closet ceiling, large enough for a man to get through. A few days passed and I had convinced myself that maybe he was the maintenance man. Maybe I was paranoid for no reason. I went to the apartment manager and asked her when the maintenance man would be up to repair the hole in my ceiling. She became pale and asked me to describe the guy. She then tells me he was not the maintenance guy. The actual maintenance man was an elderly gentleman who lived in the apartment below me. The hole was patched up and I never saw the stranger again. The guy looked so normal, muscular, tall and not bad looking, but obviously a person with bad intentions. I looked up crimes where a man comes in posing as a maintenance man in the 90s, and there was a rapist active from 1985 to 1998 in my state posing as a maintenance guy. He was caught and sent to prison, but I can't recall his name. Fake maintenance guy, I hope you are still locked up. To start, I'm 5'4" and 120 pounds, so I wouldn't call myself overweight. My friend is about 5'3" and I'm guessing around 150 pounds. So clearly not mega obese or anything, but could lose a few pounds for her own health. We're both obsessed with clothes and shopping, and she likes to try on some of my clothing, but when I ask to try on anything of hers she declines because she says they won't fit me. Her clothes would definitely fit me and I'm a smaller size than her, but I assumed she was using it as an excuse, and she had other reasons to refuse and I didn't mind, so I didn't say anything. A couple weeks ago, we were thrifting and found a few formal ball gown style dresses to try on. Mine was a size 14, which was obviously too big, and she asked me what size I was normally. I said 2 to 4 in formal dresses, and she responded, "Aren't you closer to maybe a size 12? I was surprised because I obviously needed multiple sizes down and corrected her and said size 12 was plus size, which I couldn't wear. I told her that the normal women's size was around a size 6, and she condescendingly responded, "Well, let's start from there then." Later, we had plans to go to the pool. She told me she couldn't fit in any of her bikinis from last year, and the truth is that she outgrew them way earlier than that. She has a habit of wearing bikinis that are too small, so the hems dig in and create muffin top/bottom everywhere you can imagine. Anyways, she asked me to bring one of mine for her to borrow, and I grabbed the stretchiest one I could find. At the pool I gave it to her, and after changing she walked out and it was a nightmare. The swimsuit was at least 3 sizes too small and covered nothing. It was practically a micro bikini on her even though it wasn't supposed to be. It was digging in and the fabric looked like it was about to rip, and it looked uncomfortable and painful. She changed out of the bikini and decided to swim in her normal clothing instead, which was fine for the rest of the day. While we were exiting the pool area, I suddenly realized we had forgotten about the extra swimsuit and left it behind. I reminded her and turned back around to grab it, and she said, "But it doesn't even fit anyways," basically suggesting I should leave it since it's too small for me. Which isn't true at all because it fits me fine, so I took the bikini and then went home. She's a great friend other than this, but I'm not sure why she keeps implying that I'm overweight. It kind of bothered me at first, but I know my height and weight are fine, and numbers don't lie, so it doesn't upset me as much as it used to. Obligatory. This wasn't today because, look, are they ever? For background, me and my GF are living near each other. We go to the same college and have been casually dating for about a year. A few months ago I turned 21 and suffice it to say, me and alcohol haven't quite figured out if we're gonna be friends yet or not. Cut to a house party right before quarantine. I had had a few drinks, and ended up having one too many. I knew I was going to be sick, so I went to the bathroom and my girlfriend followed me. For moral support. So there I am slurring over a toilet waiting for the inevitable, and she's trying to make conversation. She makes a comment about some friends we know breaking up, and says she'd never trade me for the world. I'm In my nauseated drunkenness, operating on autopilot and trying to be cute/funny, and I giggle back, "The only thing I'd trade you for is a 12-pack of Vault soda." I don't remember much else, that's pretty fuzzy as it is. All I remember is babbling on for a bit and then puking. For those that don't know, Vault soda has been discontinued for years. I remember having it growing up and it was my favorite. It's never coming back. My drunk brain thought it would be cute to say what I did because there's a 0% chance that it's something that would ever be a possibility. She took it pretty badly until I sobered up enough to explain my logic. Now it's frustrating because whenever we grocery shop she makes a point to not let me down the soda aisle just in case. It's been months. I'm completely devoid of game or fuel. And skinnier. TL Doctor, I drunkenly told my girlfriend I'd trade her for an impossible to find discontinued soda, trying to be cute. Now she doesn't let me buy any. Should I revenge cheat to get back at my wife? This has been on my mind for quite some time. Here's the background story. My wife and I have been married for 13 years. In 2015, she confessed to me out of guilt that she cheated on me. The story she told me was that a guy at her job was talking to her. During that time, her and I were having relationship issues. So she decided to have a one-night stand with the guy at work. Mind you, this guy was married also. According to her, the guy was telling her what most women like to hear: "You're pretty, you're beautiful, blah blah blah." Things that us as guys would tell a woman to get into her panties. One day, she went on a ramble about how I don't help around the house or don't help her with anything. Right. Like I don't pay 80% of the bills in the house to include the mortgage. That day, I decided to leave her. That same night, I started to look for apartments or room rentals in front of her to see. I just didn't care anymore at that point. Why would I put up with her s/t? The next day, she tells me she wants to talk. We sat down and right there and then she spills the beans about the affair she had with the guy. That night I went for a walk to clear my head. But I felt numbed, with no reaction or anger or anything. Just numbed. I come back and tell her that I wanted to work things out and seek counseling. Over the course of time, we sought out counseling. Until one day I blew up in her face. All the anger and rage just came out. After all was told and done, I cried after that in front of her. My dumbass did that. We are still trying to work it, but I still feel like I want my justice. Any comments please, especially from those whom have gone through with it. How did it go? What were the consequences that followed after? I'm just curious to know if you have done it and how you did it. Thank you. Not me, but witnessed my bar manager go through this. Customer: "Excuse me, I've been waiting ages and you served everyone except me." Bar manager: "I'm sorry love, what do you want?" C: "I'm not your love." Stares. BM: "I'm sorry, can I get you anything?" C: "I think it's awful how you ignore customers who have been waiting for so long." BM: "I didn't realize you had been waiting so long, what can I get you?" C: "Well, I think this is awful, 5 people must have come after me and been served." BM: "I apologize again, I'll get you your drinks now, what would you like?" C: "For free?" BM: "Sorry, I can't do them for free." C: "Why not? I've had to wait for so long, it's the least you can do." BM: "I don't think it works like that, do you want any drinks or not?" C: "Of course I do, why do you think I was waiting at the bar? But I don't think I should have to pay." BM: "You can either buy a drink or stand away from the bar, I'm afraid, that's all we can offer." C: "Fine. But I don't want you to serve me." BM: "Why not?" C: "Because you're incompetent, you don't know what you're doing." BM: "Well, everyone else here didn't serve you fast enough either, what difference does it make who pours your drinks?" C: "Well, I've just said, anyone but you. Now get somebody else." BM: "Well, the other staff are busy mixing drinks, so you'll have to wait if you want them." C: "Are you kidding? Flip you." BM: "Flip me? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Commence ranting and shouting, followed by the bouncer escorting her out. So yeah, this happened literally like half an hour ago. Our teacher had given us a group assignment and I chose to do it with my best friend, OFC. We hopped into a call on Microsoft Teams and used the screen share feature to simultaneously work on the presentation. All was working just fine until the deadline approached and we had to send it by mail to our teacher. Not thinking much about it, we started composing the mail in a flippant manner. Although I will not mention the name of our teacher, I will say it rhymes with hobby, which is how I decided to address him. We continued making bad puns thinking we would delete them later. As we were working simultaneously on the mail, sometimes we would write in the same spot creating weird-ass word mixes. Here is where the real flip-up came. As I was finishing off the email, we got into a battle about who would write the words, deleting what the other would write or just writing in the middle of their sentence. Through some key combination on our combined keyboards, however, we accidentally sent off the email, the unfinished, horribly embarrassing email. At first I didn't understand what had just happened. It then slowly dawned on me that we had sent a mildly insulting, terrible email to our teacher. As fast as I could, I tried to reply to that email apologizing for what we had sent. Now I'm stuck sitting at my desk waiting for a reply and hoping that he'll take it as a joke. DL, Doctor, my friend sent a rude email to our teacher in my name. Re-uploading because it was removed due to Rule 1C.